listening to Tapped In, Buncombe County's half hour to empower on WRES 100.7 FM in Asheville. Listen up and get tapped into local important resources, information, and topics. Learn more about the topics of today's show at buncombecounty.org. Okay, it's time to get tapped in. Hello, and welcome back. If you hear my voice, then you know it's time to get tapped in. I'm sorry, that's an aluminum can. I'm one of your hosts, ZaKiya Rogers.
And I'm Leonard Jones.
Leonard, and I come to you from Buncombe County Communication and Public Engagement, where the real heroes wear capes.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of cape wearing. We know we have been going through a month long of recovery from Hurricane Helene or Tropical Storm Helene and the impact on the Buncombe County area. And joining us today is Dr. Noreal Armstrong with Buncombe County's Equity and Human Rights Office, just to share some information on just some of the work that's been happening, some support that we can give out to the community. And as well, I know this usually runs for 2 weeks, but we are 1 week away, less than 1 week away from the general election of 2024, a very important election. So we would definitely continue to talk about that as we get into the show, but we just want to welcome Dr. No. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Good morning, because it's still, it's still morning. So good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. And so, all of us, we're going through daily, facing the traumas from Hurricane Helene. And I'm so glad someone showed me how to say it, because I was calling her Helena, like Selena, because that's what I know. I was not an A. But with that being said, how we deal with the trauma, because we know the first couple of weeks we were just in go. Mm-hmm. We were in fight mode. Mm-hmm. And now we're starting to really process what we're seeing. So what advice do you have for us, Dr. No?
So you're very correct. We were all in go mode. Adrenaline was high. And so in the therapy world, or in just mental health world, your adrenaline kind of kicks in to get you through the day, and you work, but you're really tight and you're tense and your muscles are tight and you're holding things in your chest and in your shoulders and even in your stomach that you don't know about. And then as it starts to settle, it kind of comes out in weird ways. So you might be watching TV and find yourself start crying, like, what am I crying for? Mm-hmm. That's that physical release that your body is letting go, because it can only hold stuff for so long. Yeah. So if you are finding yourself emotional over a cartoon, or you see a commercial and it's like, why am I crying? That's just your body releasing. And so if you have not cried, please take time to do that. It's very cathartic. It's a way to let your body release. And now that we're a month in, I think as of Saturday, it was a month, a full 4 weeks. Now what kind of starts to hit is reality starts to hit in. I've seen some Facebook posts and social media posts about, survivor's guilt is real. And, everybody has come together in such a huge way to support, and people are tired. And so if you can find rest, make time to find rest, even if it's just 5 minutes to go sit still. The value in sitting completely still for 5 minutes, I think people miss out how much that can just kind of reshift your day. So if you're feeling yourself being tense, or highly emotional, or just not feeling it, go find a nice corner in a place that you like, in a place that's peaceful for you, and just kind of sit. Don't answer your phone, don't look at your watch, don't do anything for 5 minutes, and do some deep breathing, and kind of let that go. Talk to somebody, and it doesn't have to be a therapist, it doesn't have to be a mental health professional. Just talk to the people around you about what's going on, about what you're feeling, about what they're feeling, and laugh. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to have fun. I know some people have traveled for family events or different things, and when they come back, they're like, I just feel so guilty, like I had a good time and took pictures, but I know people here struggling, and I feel guilty that I had a good time. And it's like, but it's okay to laugh. It's okay to find joy in the sorrow and in the pain and in the devastation, because now we're in that rebuilding stage, we're in that growing stage. And so talking, journaling is good. Voice memos on your phone have saved my life. Nice. Sometimes I don't have a pen around, or I need to verbally get it out. So there's a thing called verbal processing, and I'm a verbal processor, meaning I can write it all day long. I can sticky notes, but until I actually say it out loud, I fully don't let it go. And so that voice memo on my phone allows me to say whatever I would want to say, maybe when I used to talk to my dad, or if I can't get a hold of my sister, and I just talk like I'm talking to a person. And I'm like, oh, feel good. And I save it. and move on about my day. So those are just some kind of general things that you can do now as you're starting to feel it, as the effects are starting to kind of hit your body, hit your mental state, and then try to get sleep. I know it's hard. People have talked to me about having nightmares or having weird dreams or not being able to get really restful sleep. And so some tips for that is, of course, melatonin and things like that, but also to turn off all electronics at least 30 minutes before you're getting ready to go to bed. And so
that's a hard one. That is a very hard one.
That is a very hard one. But what a lot of people don't understand is that blue light from your cell phone, from your iWatch, from your whatever, it tells your brain, let's be up.
Oh, wow.
Let's be awake. You need to function. And so just by setting that aside and kind of dimming the lights that 30 minutes before, your brain is like, oh, it's time to start shutting down. It's like, yes. And so you kind of get a jump start on your brain, telling your brain, let's try to go to bed. And then there's lavender, if you like essential oils, or if you get some room spray or pillow spray. Even pillow spray works really good because then it's right there. And that lavender helps. Chamomile tea, having that in that 30-minute window before you go to bed. All those are some things to kind of help your body naturally with natural things tell itself it's time to go to bed. And then using that phone or piece of paper for that voice memo to write out any of those last lingering thoughts to help you try to let your mind let that go for the day, and then drift off into sleep. So those are just some quick things that you can do and can try individually or personally to see if that helps with all those things.
So Dr. Noah, those are some great tips that we can do, but we know just with some mental health and mental health care, you need some professional help with there. So what resources is out there? Just, being from the area myself, and you go away, and it's nice to be away, but then you also find out the world is still moving. We find ourselves in the midst of this election. A lot of anxiety is picking up. Kids are going back to school. What's some resources the community have out there to really get that deep care that they may need? Because some things going to be prolonged.
That is very true.
What's some of the resources available for the listeners?
So there are some good resources. One is that I don't want to say wherever you work. I don't want to misspeak. But ask wherever you work if your job provides employee-assisted network. If your employer provides that, then there should be a number that you can call, and most of the time you're able to get free counseling services through your job. So I would say check there first so that you can get connected with someone. If that isn't the case, we have a variety of counseling and mental health supports in the Asheville area. All Souls Counseling is one location that offers free therapeutic support. A therapist like me has a directory. And so what that means is you can go to a therapist like me, click on the directory, and see therapists who are on that directory and who may have available spots. Now you will have to call those people and call and check in and say, are you open? Are you seeing therapists? And what does that look like? There's a Full Circle Counseling. There's Asheville Counseling and Wellness Center. So there's a handful, and there's many, many more. Those are some of the ones that I know about. RHA is a good company to call, and they can probably connect you with supports. Why can't I think of the beginning of it? But I know it's 365C. That's the letter. I was like, there's a letter I'm missing. C. On
Biltmore.
Yes, on Biltmore. C 356, I think, because I want to say 65, like 365 days. They can also provide supports. Something we've been doing with Buncombe County is I reached out to volunteer therapists and asked them to volunteer to provide support. And so they have been doing a listening circle every day at noon. It was Monday through Sunday, and now it's just Monday through Friday. But every day at noon, you can log on to this Zoom link, and it is let's see, because I have a few for you, so I want to make sure I'm telling you the correct one. And so this one is for residents, anybody affected. It's Monday through Friday, 12 to 1. And there's a QR code, and there's flyers that are posted. But the website is bit.ly/ and then in all caps, WNCLISTENS. So that's WNC Listens. Or you can call in at 646-876-9923. And the meeting ID number is 847-013635, 3002. And so what I will do, because I just now realized this, we'll try to post this on our Equity and Human Rights page. So you can always go to buncombecounty.org/equity and find these links as well. And that's every day. So if you want to hop on every day at noon and just listen to other people and share their stories and share your stories, you can do that. And then there's a specific reconnecting through hard times. And so what's a little bit different about reconnecting through hard times? It is the actual workshop that is disaster based. It's a 1-hour training. It was shortened from a longer version, but in there they show physical tools and things that you can do to reset your body, what actions you can take. Some of those things might include like telling people to take a walk, or explaining what we mean when we say grounding, or taking a sip of water, humming. Those are some of those things. And these are offered by Resources for Resilience, which is another agency based here in North Carolina that have been doing great work around North Carolina, South Carolina, and I think Atlanta, and maybe even in New York. So their reach is wide and far. But this one is Tuesdays through November 19th from 11 to 12 p.m. or Thursdays through November 21st from 3 to 4 p.m. And again, for that website, it is bit.ly/all caps WNC reconnecting. Or again, you can call 646-876-9923. And the meeting ID is 859-8501-0699. So those are two that are actively ongoing, and we're also continuing to connect with Via Health. The Department of Health and Human Services has applied for crisis counseling program funding. And so as more information comes out and as we're able to kind of all come together as a collaborative, we're trying to figure out, what does this look like long term? How can we support not only Buncombe County staff and first responders and fire EMSS, but how can we help our community get their needs met? And so some of the things that we're talking about are like doing community trainings, doing maybe some pop-up clinics that people can come to and not only talk to someone and get that mental health support, but get tools and tips so they can go out further in the community and spread that reach. So we really are wanting to provide as many opportunities as possible, because this is going to be a long road forward, and we want to make sure people are taking care of their whole selves, including that mental wellness piece.
And I think that's one thing people are not realizing is that I tried to explain to somebody one day. I said who's not here, they're out of state, so like they see pictures but they only see this, whatever how large this picture is. I said on either side of that picture is more devastation and more devastation. I said, so our brains and our eyes are trying to connect to process what we're seeing. I said, then you throw our emotions in there, and you're trying to understand what you saw. And the thing is, the one thing, I see everything, I know what happened, and in my head I'm still saying how. Like the reality, the layers of the reality of what has happened, I still, find myself going, how? And how do we clean this up? It's almost like, walking into your teenager's room and you're like, where do I even start? And, and it's just like, but your whole city is the teenager's room now. And where do you start? And so I think that's the one part for me. It's like, it's not normal. A month has gone by. It's not back normal. What is normal now? How do we reach a normal? And, people have so many questions for us, and we can't even answer the questions that we have for us. And so I think it's so great that, we're giving these tips.
I know it makes it one of those things. Well, I guess we're going to have group therapy here. But it's also one of those things just to think, as an individual, with us working for the county and being kind of part of that EOC, just kind of giving those support out there, I really, for the listeners, just really working your talents. I think one of the big things, I know some of us are go, go, go. Some of us are how everyone doing. Think of your talents and your strengths and what you can do. One of the most beautiful thing I think came out of this disaster has been how the community has rallied together. I mean, from churches on the corners to community centers to just nonprofits along with government help and just individuals and even the volunteers that came out. I think that's one of the beautiful things that did come out of this situation. And I know a lot of people are fighting for that limelight, but it's I really want to call out the ones who are not in the limelight, who's not on social media making, but you know, every church on every corner had a relief center. You know, it was support there, and there's every shade, color, social, economic group. If you're a native, you're a transplant, everyone was here to help. I think that's one, and I even give it to the individuals who's are from here. I have seen so many people who grew up here in Asheville that immediately after the storm happened, they rallied wherever they were to come back home to support their families, their friends, their loved ones. And I think that's one of the biggest things. And so I just strongly encourage the listeners out there is especially check in. I think, ZaKiya, when you came back, just something as small as those stickers that you shared around the ELC that's saying, you're awesome, congratulations. We know a lot of our support that came in to support. Local government is, you know, they slowly transitioning back to their original assignments. However, but this is going to be as they call it, a marathon. And so what we saw in the community and how we can keep that going forward, it gives us a chance to reset. It's like a reset, and how we can show truly that spirit of one Buncombe and how we can support each other. And as I say, and even during the cleanup, I really want to call out, I know we've been busy, everybody's just been busy, but it's who's doing some of the dirty work out there. And we just want to give acknowledgement to those individuals that may be going, feeling invisible. We see you. We thank you for the work that you do. We know in this political climate, things can go every which way, but it really has been all boots on deck. So as you driving around, and it is devastation, just look and check on people. Say how you doing. I think that goes a long way to just feel seen. And when you see people out there doing the work, tell them thank you.
And wave. If you can't say anything because you're driving, wave. Blow your horn in a wave. That means so much. You know.
So it's just one of those things to just really, we see you. We see each and every one of you, and you may not be on the press briefings, you may not be in the news, but as a native here and an individual, we see the work that you're doing. I know our team travels the county every day, going to our community care centers, where this will be a plug. If you need a shower, you need to do your laundry, you need Wi-Fi. I think it actually taps into the service that Dr. No. While you washing your clothes, please go out to one of the community care centers throughout the county and use those benefits that's there. There are some benefits out there.
And you can get free lunch and dinner.
Free lunch, dinner, supplies. Continue to go out there and use. These are things to help you just to make things a little easier. So we strongly encourage individuals to use those resources out there. And don't be afraid to ask. I know a lot of people, I've heard a lot of, we mountain people, we don't need no help. Everyone needs some help every once in a while. And if you need it, go get it. Don't listen to a neighbor that's saying you don't need, if you need it, it's out there and there are some resources. And as we always say, you always can go to buncombecounty.org and find out. So even if someone's saying one thing, and if you need it, go do your research and go out there and get what you need to sustain through this. So I just want to plug that out there.
No, I think that's great. The one thing that you said, I think that it's, you know, it's a marathon, and you know, that people came in and people have shown up, and there's always so many levels. And I know I had a friend who trees were going down all around her, but her house was spared. And so like that next morning, neighbors that she had never met before, she's lived on that street for 15, 20 years, everybody showed up with chainsaws and was cutting, and then she left and went out of town, came back with a car full of stuff. I had other people like, hey, I went and got, and I'm bringing back. And so day one of that Friday morning, people were like, let me go and go get what I need and come back and help. So to continue that, I think it's great. So having a plan, communicating with your other community neighbors and partners. There's a lot of great work that's been going on. A lot of hands have been doing a lot of things. And my word is to encourage you to keep doing that, but also know when you need to take a break. Know when you need to step back. Know you need to be like, hey, I need to let somebody else rotate in and step in. And so offering that support so that they know how to do what's being done. Because I know sometimes we get into like, if I'm not there, it's not going to get done. I'm the only one who knows how to do it. So show somebody else how to do it so that you can step back and take a break. Even a day away can make a difference, or half a day.
And I think that was, you know, I talk about that a lot too, is that resource remorse, that, you know, like I had to get off the mountain, and I was able to get off the mountain without using FEMA or anything like that, because I had family who lived in Colombia, and there was so much guilt around that I was able to leave. And even though I had to leave because I ran out of medication, I needed to get my medicine, I still felt so guilty. So I was working remotely, so I was working myself worse than what I was when I was here. And so, because I had so much guilt, and you have to process through that. And I think sometimes that, you know, we punish ourselves for anything that's good happening to us in the midst of something bad. You know, I think a lot of us did that even during the pandemic. And here we are again. We're like, oh, I shouldn't be celebrating. You know, I saw like people like, it's my birthday. And, you know, I think during this time, I was like really like aggressive saying happy birthday to people, especially in this era. I'm like, happy birthday, it's your birthday. So happy for you. So glad it's your birthday. You know, but the thing is, like, because you want people to still feel loved, and you still want people to celebrate. You know, and so my thing is, just like it's going to take our county a long time to recover, it's going to take us a while to recover. And I think that reminds us to be gentle with ourselves and be gentle with the process of things happening. You know, you can't go and snatch all the hair off your head and then expect to have hair down your back 2 weeks later. You know, everything is a process.
That's true.
So.
And what's that they say about it? On the airplane, you got to put your mask on first.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. Check on yourself. Tap into how you feel.
My heart doctor told me that, and I was just like, I'm not paying you to do that. I need my prescription. He said, put your mask on. I need my prescription. I'm not paying you. You're not my therapist.
But yeah, so it's just one of those things that we really do want people to check in on themselves and make sure they're able to help people. And helping people is therapy in itself.
Yeah.
So it's been a kind of mantra out there as well, that whatever you can do, the small things you can do, I think can go a long way. And I think as a community, that if we step into that, we can rebuild back stronger than we were before and in a new way. And so that's just a message to put out there.
Yeah, and I think people, they ask, will we go back to what we used to be? And I always say, is that what you want? And, you know, and as I always say, and Leonard can tell you, I say this all the time, Asheville will one day realize that their people are the diamonds of their city. And this is what we've been noticing, that our people are our diamonds of our community. And so we want to go back to being a place where we're putting each other first and we're helping out each other. We don't want to go back to where we were before then. So we have 5 more minutes, and I am going to give you and Leonard to leave our community what you want them to know, or something you really want them to reflect on.
So I want to use this time to give a couple of tips of actual things and steps that people can do. So when you're listening, that you're like, oh, she didn't give me any like tips that I can do. But first, before I give you those tips, I think the big thing that I want people to take away is giving yourself grace and giving others grace. You know, there were things that happened before COVID, and we're like, oh, that was before COVID, and then there's like after COVID. and there's this space where you kind of don't remember where things happen. And it's going to be similar. There's going to be, before Helene and then after Helene. And that new normal is going to take some adjustment to getting used to, but we eventually will get into a new normal. And so we won't be able to necessarily go back. But I think the good thing about that is it can be a reset. It can be a restart. So in giving people grace and in giving yourself grace, think about what you want this new normal to look like for you, because now's the opportunity to create that and build it from the ground up, and try those things. And so just remember, phones away, chamomile tea, lavender to help with sleep before going to bed. And if in the midst of helping, if in the midst of doing work, if in the midst of doing some recovery efforts, you do feel stressed, these are some quick tools from Resources for Resilience. We call them rapid resets. And so it's just a way to reset your nervous system when you start to kind of go offline. And so taking a walk, but not just any walk, a walk where you intentionally try to detect things. So, I'm going to look for everything red, and you intentionally look for everything red. I'm going to look for everything black. I'm going to look for all the blue cars. And so that just kind of hones you in. And so you're so focused on looking for blue cars that your brain kind of gets to rest from those other things. Doing some heavy work. So pushing on a wall or pushing down on a table for a few minutes and then letting go and feeling that release of giving intentional tension in your body and then letting it go, or holding your chair tight and then letting it go. And then humming or singing. I know we're all, Beyonce in the shower, but even when you're in the car or in the kitchen cooking, if there's a favorite song that you have, hum it. Don't worry about if you can sing or not, or hum or not. But humming and singing releases dopamine. It tells your brain that you're well, but it also resets your system. So those are just a few tips that you can try. I found myself yesterday here at work, standing at the elevator, singing, and I was like, "Why?" It just song popped in my head. So I was like, but I felt better. So sing and even dance and move along with that. So that's what I would like to have people take away.
And then I would just like to add, I know we done talked about a lot of good things, but it also is an election season. And so I just really would strongly encourage people. Early voting continues all the way to this Saturday, November the 2nd. And so I strongly encourage, there are 10 locations throughout the county. Election day is on the 5th of November, but early voting is every day until November the 2nd. And those hours of operations is from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And on this Saturday, the last day, it'll be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I strongly encourage individuals to go out and vote. I invite you to bring someone else to go out and vote with you. Very important election. When we think of how politics play out, think of the impact of this hurricane in our area and who made those decisions, who are helping people out in community. So your voting does have an impact on your life every day. And as always, vote down ballot. We do know it's a presidential election. And then just in terms of, I spoke about them earlier, is the community care stations. We know, especially in the Asheville area, in Buncombe County, we're still dealing with situations without water. But there are some resources out there. The community care stations are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can do showers, you can do laundry, they got restrooms, and they got food and water, and it's free and open to the public. And we kind of in every four corners of the county. There's one near AC Reynolds that will be transitioning down to the Ingalls below AC Reynolds. We got one on Brevard Road at the at-home store parking lot. It used to be the old Kmart on Brevard Road. The old bit lots at the Innsbrook Mall at 85 Tunnel Road. They also got the Buncombe County Sport Park, which is over in the Candler community as well. They also got Bethel United Methodist, which is on Ricefield Road out in kind of Otine area. Swannanoa Ingalls is another location, and also the Swannanoa Owen Pool in Swannanoa. And then in Weaverville, we are at the Morgan Hill Baptist Church on Barnesville Highway. So those are some places that you can go and get that shower, hot shower, laundry, restroom, food, and water. And there was one other thing I wanted to think about, and it just slipped my mind.
That's not like you.
I know. But yeah.
All right.
That's something.
That's the only thing that Leonard has. Professor Leonard.
Mhm.
As always, I'd like to leave you all with a couple of jewels. Everybody, I want you all to practice breathing. Go. Oh, well,
I
Leonard
figured
found
it out.
Yeah, he did.
Also, another thing about early voting is that, especially in some of our impacted areas in Black Mountain, so if you are one of those traditional vote on election day, we really want to emphasize you to go to Buncombe County elections, buncombecounty.org elections, to make sure that your precinct was not impacted. So if you know you vote in some of those areas, particular in Swannanoa, Fairview, and Black Mountain, some of those locations had to shift due to the Hurricane Helene and the damage to those places.
Mhm.
So if you are waiting to election day to vote, please go check with the Board of Elections or go to buncombecounty.org and make sure that your voting location is the same if you're waiting for election day, because some of those did have to change with impacts to those areas or lack of access. Thank you for letting me get that back in, but that came back to my mind. Go out and vote, though.
All right. So I'd like to leave you all with this little jewel. Please breathe. Breathe with your whole chest.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe all the way in and blow it all the way out. And you know why? Because you have been sitting with your shoulders tight, your chest curved, and you have been looking at your phone. Your neck is tense. I need you all to look around, enjoy that. Even though our trees may not be as beautiful as they usually are, they are still putting on a show for us.
Mm-hmm.
They are still releasing these leaves. And even though we are going through so much right now, I beg of all of you all to take the time to fall back in love with your community. As the leaves rain down on you and do their dance all the way to the ground, just remember the little small things. We are one Buncombe, and we will always be here for you. You've been tapped in.
Thank you for listening to Tapped In, Buncombe County's half hour to empower, here on WRES 100.7 FM in Nashville. Learn more about today's topics at buncombecounty.org. Otherwise, stay tuned for more great episodes coming up.